All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having yourselves a fantastic Wednesday. And yeah, are ready for what should hopefully be a pretty interesting trading day here today. Um, Kind of a weird session there yesterday, right? Kind of aggressive little fake outs there, but we didn't really move particularly much. I think market's probably still waiting for Nvidia's earnings here after today's close. I think that's going to be a pretty fascinating one. And then really looking forward to seeing, if we can create like a clean runway effectively, right? Going into end of month and going into the long weekend. Historically, going into Labor Day weekend is a little bit of a bullish event. I don't know if I see anything that necessarily contradicts that here yet in the short term, but very curious to see what basically momentum is available for us here today. And then once we've established that momentum, hopefully, right, we can go from there. I would think that today probably sets up more as like a positioning day versus a textbook trend day. But we'll see, and we'll definitely cross that bridge when we get to it. The other expectation, right, is that it's probably going to be a little bit of a slower open or a slower market to start the day. What we've seen, right? Maybe this is just like a little bit of a okay, maybe it's twofold. One, maybe it's like just summer conditions, right? Moves take a little bit longer to develop, whatever you want to call it. I also wonder if it's a little bit of like being now out west, it's a little bit easier to see patterns later in the morning. I wonder if that's also a little bit of a reality there. But all things considered, we're kind of expecting the market here to kind of behave like it always has until proven otherwise, effectively. And within that context here today, right, that means a lot of consolidation, probably a lot of like choppy, fake outy nonsense type PA, and probably better off being patient, right, and probably missing a trade or two versus trying to be hyper aggressive. Now, on the flip side, I guess, right, or the continuation of that, is yesterday we did a really good job because we really focused on our position sizing. We really focused on losing small, and we gave ourselves enough opportunities, right, to be able to survive some of that indecision. I would like to simplify that process even further, right? Ultimately, is what the objective is, and I'm going to try to be a little bit pickier here today, just to really put myself in a situation where I'm not doing anything stupid. I think it's just easy for us to get stuck in those types of environments. Besides that, we do have some trending PA rate on crude. I mean, not fantastic, but it could be reasonable for us. So if we do get a nice bit of trending markets post inventories, I think that also opens up a kind of avenue, right, for us to get some nice trading in. So, yeah, good morning, everybody. Hope everyone's having a good start to their Wednesday. And yeah, let's start kind of firing away here and figure out what we want to do. So, obviously, big story here today is going to be NVIDIA earnings after market close. I think everyone is waiting for that. A lot of speculation on this. I would imagine that they juice up the premium of those options. So, I would avoid speculating on it too much here overnight. But yeah, certainly seems like that's what the market is waiting for in general. So besides that, right, we're looking at technically a 2 out of 3 to the upside with volume, but we're still confined inside that Friday range. So I don't want to put too much stock into that volume profile because we're consolidating here still inside, right, that kind of standard. So it's 2 out of 3 with vol, and I'm just going to say inside consolidation. And I mean, effectively, that means I need to see a breakout right over that 500 area, or that's going to be the starting point. As for a fake out spot, I mean, if I could find support basically inside that Friday range, that's again kind of a little bit repetitive. Maybe it would be like uh 460, maybe to 450 ish. Like in that area. Oops. That would potentially be interesting, right? If we can find support off of that zone. But yeah, primarily would like to see, especially to the upside here, a breakout through that range, because I would think that that 500 kind of acts as our ceiling here a little bit today. Or at least I should assume that it's going to act as our ceiling until I get it proven otherwise. So the more enthusiasm I can see, the better volume we can get. I think the easier that becomes, right, for us to get that consistent narrative. To the downside here, right, we'd be targeting a move down towards sort of that 64.30. These level isn't changing. Nice how that works. And then map it out from there. Ideally, the fake out would be around 6,500, right? Reject off of that spot and then break down. That would be really, really interesting. So hopefully we can get one of those scenarios to come in, but I'm not going to be too bothered by that volume simply because of the context of it. We're just very much consolidating here inside Friday. All right, NQ, very similar story here, right? We're still kind of consolidating inside that Friday range. I do want to be a bit patient maybe with this thing again. Maybe a little bit more range bound as well here relative to ES, right? ES is kind of in the upper end of that box effectively that we were stuck in. NQ, a bit more in the middle. Still would like to see a breakout over 650, so 700 we'll call it this morning. And then we got it mapped out. Yeah, all-time highs. That's plenty of space. To the downside here, we're at 500. So pre-market lows already covered. Let's target 3 or 400. It's 382, I think. 373. So we'll call that 400. Again, don't need to change those levels. Effectively, just a day of consolidation there yesterday. We're looking for some consistency. I would imagine that NQ this morning is probably a little bit wackier than ES, right? It's just going to have a larger weighting to NVIDIA, probably a little bit of a bigger oomph. I'm not very good at multitasking here. So yeah, I'm very curious just to see how things are going to behave here today, how aggressive it is. You know, my I don't know, I call it impulsive intuition, I guess, about earnings is generally if they like run it up the day of or the day before, that's a sell the news event, right? Or sell going into the news. If they dump it going into earnings, that's a buy the news. Who knows, right? I'd say that's just like not a back tested approach, but probably just how you want to view it. So I'd like to see basically which standard basically gets accomplished here today, and then that might help kind of position my bias for the remainder of the week. All right, CL. So a little trend line crack. I don't know if it's a great one. So I'll even look at it like this. But we will call this a 2 out of 3 to the downside with volume. And again, it's not great volume. And then 1030 data. I would want to be a little bit patient here with that 1030 data. I also wouldn't trade this until after 1030. Just because we're going to expect a lot of algo activity once inventories data does drop. And it's too unpredictable to kind of know which side it's going to go. And it likes to do a fake out one direction, fake out another, and then give us an aggressive move. Yesterday might have been our 1CL trade of the week, and I certainly won't complain if that is the case. To the upside here, I'd be looking at a 64 and above. But let's just wait for that data here. If we can get a nice story post crude oil inventories, should be in pretty good shape. Okay, Apple, 2 out of 3 to the upside with volume. And you know what? That's much better volume than NQ. Tesla, 2 out of 3 without volume. Yeah. Microsoft, Kind of bit of a reversal looking candle. Volume doesn't want to load. There we go. Maybe kind of looks like a borderline capitulation type opportunity here, right? If you're Microsoft, potentially could be setting up as such. We would call this a weak 2 out of 3 to the downside with vol. I'm going to say possible reversal candle. And I'd say capitulation. All right, Amazon, green candle increasing, but not really impressive volume, still really low, all things considered. And then gapping down. So 2 out of 3 to the upside with vol. Let's go non-outlier. Okay. NVIDIA, I mean, obviously the name we all care about here today, maybe the most important company in the world at the moment. And it's giving us a 3 for 3 here to the upside, right? So we've got quote unquote trending price action going into its earning event. And it's trending price action here higher, established initially on the 20th. And then we're looking basically for a pop through ATH. It does seem a little bit, the phrase that's coming to mind is suspicious. We're suspiciously close to all-time highs, that it does feel almost like it's destined to touch them here today. I don't know if that means prior or post earnings, but that's for sure where I'd be keeping my focus. All right, AMD technically a 3 for 3 here to the downside. It's kind of our outlier name here so far, and we'll call this week 1. Week into context, maybe not the strongest candle shape, higher high, higher low. Not exactly like outlier volume, even relative to this consolidation that got established from the 20th onward. So I wouldn't get too attached to AMD here this morning. I wouldn't be too interested in it. All right, Meta 2 out of 3 to the upside with volume. Again, it's kind of weak volume. Say like a lot of these with volumes are, again, kind of suspicious, right, with their volume profiles. Inside bar here on Netflix, so day of consolidation. And then Google, inside bar as well. And then VIX hanging out here, 14.99. So sell off, right? We'd like to see VIX increase, dump, or pump. It could probably stay where it's at. I'm not necessarily expecting a tremendously volatile day here on the index level, at least not early. I think maybe a little bit later on in the session, we could open up the volatility tops here a little bit and finally get that clean move. But that's really what I'm cheering for here today. I want to see easy, smooth, clean, nice, gentle, whatever you want to call it, price action. I want to deal with having to see moves reverse so quickly there, like we saw yesterday. That's frustrating. So I wouldn't prefer to deal with that again here today. I'd like to be a bit more proactive versus reactive in those situations, and just finding that balance between trusting my plan, getting out of losers, and holding on for winning trades. There's that the Venn diagram where all those trades come together. It's going to require a much more deliberate, I think, psychological approach than it is to be hyper aggressive. So let's see where things kind of shape up here today, or how they come together. But I'm not sure if I'm going to get a ton of action here early, or I'm not going to try to justify action here too early unless it's perfect and I can't talk myself out of it. So let's see where things go. Let's see where we get some oomph here today, and then hopefully, right, we can have a little bit of joy. Besides that here, guys, I'm just going to go grab my cup of coffee here. It's time, and we'll get set up here in just a second. So bear with me for a moment, but I'll be back in a second. All right, I'm back. So at least dip buyers early, right? That's our first indication here this AM. Oh man, first sip of coffee. It's so good. It does feel the longer I wait to have my first cup of the day, the better the first cup tastes. Nice, Michael. Hope you had a great little trip. Feel refreshed. Not sure if you missed too much chaos. It's been pretty volatile, pretty choppy last little bit. So, welcome back. Take it slow here today when you're back to trading. Like I would say that's the biggest benefit I feel like I've had since I've been waiting 90 minutes to drink is that yeah, the coffee's so much better. Oh, I did the same thing a little bit here this morning, Mike, actually. Like I'm at the sweet spot of the calendar where I'm up for sunrise and going to bed just after sunset. It's really nice. Glorious. Okay, so we got set up here. We're not going to get enough volume on the second 3-min candle, right? That's pretty poor volume standards. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get it on like the 2-min. Outlier volume on NQ, non-outlier volume on ES. That's been honestly a bit of a pain in the butt. Okay. Now we've got to fake out higher after jinxing bulls. Ranges are pretty small too. Divergence a little bit. So far, 550 probably been the key area of support or like the battleground, if we want to call it that. Can't really separate above, can't really separate below. I'm just gonna like watch that price a little bit. It's gonna be hard to be bullish if Nvidia's dumping. Still a lower high. Not on ES though. ES looks like it's going to give me increasing volume, but that volume doesn't look like it's going to be outlier. This looks really, really weak. I would say it's very concerning that if on the second volume bar of the day you can't get above average volume, that's it's a very big red flag, I would suggest. Like if there isn't enthusiasm early in the session or you're not seeing a lot of participants early, it's kind of hard to expect that they're going to show up later. That for sure gives me the most amount of pause on ES. The other element is the divergence between the indexes. So when I'm basically piecing together those two bits of information, so a lack of participants and then a lack of consistency in basically the price action narrative. And that's maybe a little bit prematurely here to say that still, but that would for me be like or it's flashing or it's warning signs, right, of chop, of consolidation, of indecision. Kind of like the early story, right, that I think I'm getting from especially ES. The volume on ES is really bothering me. That from is telling me I need to be very slow here. The thing that then becomes maybe a little bit concerning, maybe this is a bit galaxy brain too, but is like if the buyers or the sellers aren't showing up early and consistently, it's like yeah, I wouldn't really expect them to show up and sustain and be like super supportive early on or later on, sorry. Where they would choose to defend, right, or capitulate would maybe be like more random. Whereas if you have that expectation of them establishing control early, then you know that they're going to be defending certain points maybe a bit more aggressively. You know, high of day, midpoints, stuff like that. I don't like seeing the divergence either. That does bother me a little bit. Again, it's not really giving you a ton of separation below 550. But the fact that it's neither breaking down or breaking out is also probably a little bit concerning. Here goes NVIDIA. Hmm. Again, it's like it's increasing volume, but it's not outlier. I mean, it's maybe a bit positive that we're seeing it show up a bit. It still doesn't feel tremendously enthusiastic. The divergence still annoying, starting to maybe be a little bit more bearish than bullish, right? That looks like some utter woke nonsense there. That wick. So this might give me a setup here to the downside. I don't want the trade NQ to the downside until I see some sort of indication of ES also failing. We got some work to do here over the next minute. Otherwise, expectation, right, is chomp and indecision or fake out or whatever you want to call it. That divergence is really, really hard to trade. Find some here. Okay, so technically not a setup. That would, for me, I can't do it on the 5 either. The 2-min theoretically, I guess, but I'm not super interested in being aggressive there. Very interesting. Still anchor ES not really cracking. Okay, so here historical correlation will depend a little bit on time frames, but it ranges on the between the 3 and the 15 to be between 85 to 95% correlated. So what that means, right, is that if a move happens in one direction 85 to 95% of the time, the same move happens in the subsequent ticker. So trading the divergence between the two is not what I'm interested in doing here. Or based on that, I would say it's probably a little bit too early to be willing to trade like the correlation decoupling. So yeah, I wouldn't want to front run that change. I need to see these things to cooperate because yeah, I don't want to accept right. And if this is a strong breakdown trade, so if this does give us that follow through, that's going to set up ES for us to be the probably better setup. Right, because we're going to have a larger kind of runway to go to play catch up. But I'm not convinced we're seeing that price action yet. $480 seems to be the support on ES. 550s disappeared. If this wants to set up as a reversal scenario, this is where things would get very, very interesting because then you're getting ES priming for a breakout, NQ playing catch up with an aggressive failure. And then we can get NVIDIA back over 180. That'd be a very, very nice scenario. 9:48, maybe a bit too early to call a textbook reversal. But as a laggard trade, that could be very interesting. Okay, well, that changes things. Okay. I don't know about you guys, but I would say so far everything kind of looks a little bit crappy. We're starting to get maybe our first signs of some consistency here. I reckon I'd be focusing on NQ. Ooh, it's kind of a shitty close. Like I wanted it to close under. I wanted to see it close to 490 as I could. I wanted to see 500 act as support there a little bit. What's I guess scared me, for lack of a better term, is like as that candle was closing, basically just like the magnetic pull that 500 had on that closing candle. It didn't really made me like didn't make me feel as if it was acting as resistance or like support to the downside. It felt more like it was acting as support to the upside. Where then this now potentially looks like a capitulation bar. I really did not like that close. That made me, yeah, very uncomfortable. Maybe not uncomfortable, but I didn't like it. A bit dramatic. Yeah, potentially could be. Yeah, kind of like where it found support there early yesterday morning. Be interesting. Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, I see very few reasons to be aggressive yet. Only thing, right, is Nvidia keeps selling, which probably creates a little bit of enthusiasm there. But I have no reasons to be aggressive yet. None. Yeah, I can't see one. um, I had a dream last night. Uh, I don't know where this came from, but I was like thinking about or maybe I know this comes from. So there's this guy on like TikTok or maybe he's on TikTok, I don't know. On Twitter that I see or on Instagram every now and then, and he's like making really useless inventions. So it'll be like a spoon that stirs the cup, not the coffee, for example, right? Like something stupid like that. And all I thought about last night as I was falling asleep, or like my dream or whatever, was basically that this guy had made a like shock collar for losing trades. That's all I'm thinking about here this morning. Like every time you make an impulsive decision, shock collar goes off. I don't know why my brain has got to get that through my system, but so far I feel pretty vindicated. Yeah, I think we all need one, Nick. And then just yeah, we'll vibe code one with AI. So you can do it by the price scale. So if you click on the price scale here, you can drag it and make it larger and smaller. And then I use my scroll wheel on my mouse to zoom in and out from there. Okay. Good decision, guys, on NQ, right? I think we saw that trap coming from a mile away. Good job. CL, excuse me, CL. I'd like to trade that. That was the shock collar. But I'm not trading this until 10:30. Honestly, the thing that I wish we had. Who needs AI, right, Mike? Who needs AI? I think about this sometimes. So I had I like you guys know I run quite a lot, and about this time last year when I was still in Montreal, the humidity in Montreal is crazy. And it'd be like 30 degrees, but humidity's like 60%, and you're just dying out there. Anyway, I'd be running the side trails of Mount Royal. And they're really nice, and you can get like maybe 20, 25 kilometers out of it. And I'm taking one of these side trails back, and it's kind of stumbly and bumpy, and I'm like tripping over my feet. So I'm trying to get myself like focused up a little bit. So I'm like talking to myself. I'm in pure delirium because it's, kilometer 20. I'm 2.5 hours into my run. I've probably sweat out 2,500 calories. And I'm talking to myself and I trip again. So I'm like, all right, I got to like take myself seriously. I can't let this happen. So like, all right, I got to slap myself, wake myself up, make myself feel good. And so I'm running and I'm just like for 50 meters, just slapping myself in the face as hard as I absolutely can. And as I do like my second or my third one to wake myself up, I round this corner and make eye contact with this woman who is just like so horrified when she sees me. So maybe the other shock collar is just like seeing this woman's reaction as she sees some like zombie looking freak just slapping themselves on the trail. Didn't trip again after that, but I think about that all the time. And just not good enough confirmation candles. So if we could get her reaction, the shock collar, and the surprise motherfucker guy from Dexter all into one combo, I think we'd be in pretty good shape with that shock collar. I don't really see anything of interest yet. The volume on ES for me is still very concerning. Better on NQ, but the candles consistently sucks. Yeah, it's just I've got these 4 ticked. Everything else is unticked. There's a video inside the Discord that shows you those settings in the DTR indicator tab. The video I made about setting up the indicator shows you my settings. So I'd recommend just watching that. Alternatively, you can just go into the FAQ section, save my layout as your own, and then they will be applied by default. Yeah, so far so slow here, team. I got very few reasons to be aggressive. That's beautiful, Market Miner. That's beautiful. All right, I'm glad I'm not the only lunatic here. That makes me feel a lot better. Used to, Mark. Used to trade options in the stream pretty much exclusively. But I think futures are better. To be honest, I think they're better to trade. If I were to go back to trading like indices or non indices and just trading stocks, I would just trade the underlying asset. I wouldn't deal with any time decay. Too much of a pain in the ass. Well, for me, it's a question of liquidity more than anything, right? So it's the liquidity that gives you the ability to have consistent trades. A lot of options chains will be far too illiquid for us to be trading profitably or without any serious slippage or kind of like a pain in the ass. Like if for lack of a better term, if we were to all trade like I don't know, some Netflix contracts here today, for example, and we were to trade, I don't know, some 1,300 calls or something like that. we could be as a group 50% of that volume. And if we were that and we tried to exit, we would cannibalize ourselves and no one would make any money. Or like five people would make money, everyone else would get crushed. So that would suck. So it would make wins smaller for the group, losses larger for the group. I don't think that would be worth it. So these charts are ugly this morning. Video maybe starting to find a little bit of a bottom. But honestly, nothing of interest yet. This all kind of sucks. All right, back to 550. Now I'd still say very low conviction PA. Gonna go fill up another cup of coffee. I'll be back in a second. maybe we have a chance to go increasing volume here. Seems maybe a little bit low probability. And not enough volume, right? Again, we're looking for that breakout across the board. Yeah, not a day to waste your energy here yet. Again, I just cannot trade this volume, right? It's not giving me the story that I would like. So I can't trust these narratives, unfortunately. Again, any day where I don't break any rules, I don't force any stupid trades, where I don't lose any money, good day, right? Not used up any mental capital. I've not lost any cash. I've not compounded any stress. No, not enough volume, right? Needs to be increasing outlier. This is increasing, but it's not outlier. So it needs to be above average, right? Otherwise, we're just looking at really low volume breakouts, which is not an indication of enthusiasm. So confirmation standard, right, has to be increasing volume and it has to be outlier volume. Increasing independently is not enough. Outlier independently is not enough. It needs to be showing us a effectively personality change. In this 5 min, maybe has a chance. And again, team, it's not that things can't move higher or move lower on decreasing volume. They absolutely can. But the probability of getting the follow through that I need decreases significantly, right, with less volume. So I'm not super interested in trading compromises. I think that becomes a very dangerous precedent to set. So I would rather stick to my guns, right, and go from there. We should, yeah. So it's got to follow everything perfectly. If it doesn't, then I'm never going to hold it against myself that things moved without following my rules. That's, yeah, like a zero win situation, right? And see how this closes. I would probably prefer to trade this on the 5. Not bad. Okay, reasonable close. Very good close, actually. Immediately makes a higher high, so we know we'd be looking for the pullback entry technique. Target here would be 629. And now we try to give this basically every reasonable opportunity it can to give you a fake out first, right? So stop would be 577. Very tight. And it'd be a long, right? And I'm just trying to give this thing time. And again, this should give me that out. Ooh, maybe not outlier volume on the 5. Let's see. Yeah, let's watch this on the 5. 100. Not terrible. Okay, so stop now would be 593. Reference price would be 602. So you'd be looking at like 2 contracts. Let's see how this thing holds. Okay, so now you're looking at a 592 stop. All right, and looking for a gentle pullback here now, team. Okay, I am in 599.50, 599.50. I have 3 contracts here. $599.50. So let me write this out. Sorry. Okay, so far so okay. I would like to see maybe a little bit more separation away from 600. Does make me a bit nervous. Like the enthusiasm kind of seems like it disappeared a bit. Oh, okay. Well, there it goes. That's the stop. I could not have said that any better. Lame. 497.28 on that. Hey, good morning, Rusty. Just felt like losing momentum to stop loss in 5 seconds. It's a bit tough. See if this wants to set back up again here. Again, this could be setting up here still for us. Be looking like something like that. Again, pretty much the same trade. Stop loss 592. You're looking for breakout, gentle pullback into 600, right? So pretty much a deja vu here. Okay. Again, watching here closely. My fill didn't go at 599. That's annoying. Cancel that order. Gonna potentially try this again. Okay, setting it back up here. Okay, I'm gonna try the aggressive here. All I'm trying to find, right, is appropriate spot for some good risk reward here. So stop now would be 601. Nvidia at 181's positive, very positive. Okay, so now it'd be 600 stop. That crude oil inventories data in 2 minutes. Okay, so now we're looking back at this possible move here. 592 stop loss. Hey guys, I'm back in 597.50, 597.50. Stop loss 592. Come on. Chart's kind of going on this, which I don't necessarily like very much. That's not a good feeling. Okay, it's got to start pushing here. It's got to start pushing. Come on. There it goes. Keep pushing, baby. Keep pushing. I've got some trust issues here, team. All right. Yeah, I don't know if I trust this trade. Saying that out loud. See if you can give me another little push here. Hey guys, I think I'm gonna have to look for a close here. See if we can get a nice little pop. Come on. All right, guys, I'm out. I am out. I am out. If this thing sets back up, I will try again here. I am out. Exit price $5.99. Ugh. If this thing, like, basically you can use that 600 as a catapult higher, can look to jump back in. But that reaction has been kind of pathetic and bullshit and muted. It's hard to trust it. Oh, I'm sorry. Fuck. This 5 minute, if we can close above that, then we can start to target maybe a move towards 700. That would be kind of optimistic. So maybe could have closed a little bit higher. I did, but I'll take it. So right now, yeah, maybe like one of my flaws a little bit as a trader is I get that feeling as if I should be getting out of a trade, and then I want to explore that feeling a little bit instead of just getting out. The exploring it kind of creates that hopium a bit. That complicates life a little bit. Yeah, so CL likes to do one big move, sell off, then kind of recover. So if you look at like Wednesday last week, like it kind of gives you a big reversal and then drift. So let's see. I would reach out to their customer support ghost. They'd be able to give you a better reason why, because they'd be able to see your order logs at least. There's probably too many possible variables. So I would recommend just going to the source here. And I'm still not opposed to trading this move. I just need to see the right enthusiasm. Right? Like this is still our confirmation. We're still working off of this candle. We're just trying to get a reasonable entry here. Might be easier said than done. I think probably the most annoying thing that could happen from price action here today is now we just drift all day at like 600. I think that would be worst case scenario. You'd like to see a rejection here or a separation breakout from here. You don't want to really see. You don't want to see it just like stall. Okay, so for now it'd be 596 stop loss. Okay, so 596 would be the stop, right? And I'll be looking at two contracts here. All right, guys, I am in average price 606, two contracts, stop loss 96. Okay, keep pushing here, keep pushing. Very good. All right, looking sharp here, team. So we want to see big follow through here, right? Not that. That's a fucking ass. That 10 points just evaporated, or that 3 points are just evaporated. Ah. All right, guys, I've closed this. I've closed this. If it sets back up, I'll try again. Closed it for a small win. I hated seeing it go from 14 to 10 in a second and then not want to recover it back. So not going down with the ship here, right? Reset, try again. Just got to take my paper cuts. That's fine. Paper cut wins add up too. Fucking annoying. I guess the other question is, how many more chances can we give bulls before we're like, man, these guys suck today? Hey, KB, heard you had another great day in the stream, man. Congratulations. Well done, sir. I think that's like 3 big days for you, right? Oh, well done. Congratulations. Yeah, I don't think I've missed out on anything besides slow. Yay. Like this thing hasn't broken out. It's not separated super far. Yeah, I mean, nothing to brag about here on the day, but we're getting back in business a little bit. And look, small wins are better than big losses or small losses. I'll take it. And again, it's not like this thing is blown up to $700 here, right? We have made the right call, even if it has been reluctantly. Love to play rejection. Let's go, Nick. Good man. Yeah, and CL is kind of doing its typical. I'm sitting at 101.64. Oh, not exactly a monster here. There is a little part of me that's like, yeah, take it and go. Increasing, not outlier. No reason to fade it yet. All right. Feel very, very justified here, team. All right. So I would say now, right, we're kind of cheering for some rejections or reversals. Rusty, if you're with us here, 2 men, baby. Here we go. So now we're looking, right, for that rejection thesis there. Fake out higher, increasing outlier volume on that rejection. And the target here would be low of day. For now, we're still looking at the pullback entry technique, which would put a stop loss at 607, that kind of area. Probably want to be looking at those wicks, right, as my starting point here. So looking for a short stop loss. So 7. Short. Hey, let's go, man. Congratulations. Okay, so watching here, trying to get over 596, right? Basically, I want to see how it reacts as it gets close to 600, right? Especially on the pullback here. So we're going to get the 596 or 597. Who's to say that 598 or 599 or 601 won't happen? If it's the aggressive, I'm probably a little bit less worried about the like potential or implied resistance. So let's see this reaction here. Didn't feel slow enough. Better. All right, guys. I am in short 600, 625, 625. 2 contracts, stop at 606. Sorry, correction. Stop loss 607. Stop loss 607. I do hate this already. I do hate this already. Just not reacting the way I would expect. All right, I'm out, guys. I've closed it. I've closed it. Yeah, just not. I mean, maybe it's a bad read, but it's not as enthusiastic as I want. I wanted to be green right away, good separation right away, no FOMO. That trade in it, once I jumped in, the initial reaction didn't make me feel comfortable. I'm gonna correct based on what I said there earlier, right? Where I want to force myself, hear my feeling, don't explore it, just take it, get impartial, explore it with my ability to be impartial, and then try again. I don't think I've missed anything here. I'm paranoid it's going to reverse on me. So I'm not interested in forcing this. That puts me at 174.36 on the day. I know. Hold your applause. But kind of do feel like I've navigated it well. Honestly, giving myself a golf clap for that one. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. That would have stopped us out, shaken us out to be back at entry price. No thanks. I don't want that bullshit in my life. Yeah, if I wanted that kind of toxic relationship here today, I'd date a stripper. I don't need this from price action. Hey, Don, you're pretty much spot on with me. 1 point difference today across the board. That's perfect, man. 1 point difference across executions. That's really, really solid. Yeah, I mean, 3 for 4 on the day. Honestly, all kind of bullshit. All these trades, like, kind of would have been better off. Maybe not better off, but like a lot of work for nothing. But I will say I kind of do like my improvement curve throughout today's trading day more so than I like my P&L curve. Didn't I didn't get pot committed, right? I learned my lesson. I didn't get pot committed. I didn't get greedy. Listen to my feeling, and I really like that about me today. It's really hard to do. It's really hard. The other couple sensations I also feel like they're kind of still left like bouncing around. One, I felt kind of nervous a little bit on some trades here today, or like upon entry, my first feeling is like one of anxiety or of like I don't know, which I think is for sure a warning sign, right? Or it's like, I think that's my body telling me what maybe my greed is trying to hide from me to a certain extent. And then the other element, right? There may be like the devil on my shoulders. I still kind of feel like as if there's an easy move or a big move still in play here today. I don't know if I should be committed to finding it. Kind of where I'm at. I don't know if I should, to be honest. We've been stuck at 600 for 40 minutes? Kind of bullshit. Yeah, I'm gonna listen to my brain here, team, not my heart. So I don't think I'm gonna place any further trades here today. I think the sign that I'm feeling uh maybe not anxious is the right term. I don't think that's the right term, maybe. But I feel as if mental capital is very expensive today. I think that's probably a better or a clearer reflection. Like the price action is making trusting trades, staying in trades, believing in trades very difficult, which is why I think probably the big move is happening because it's easy to shake people out. I don't think I need to do too much else here I should just be happy with the green day. 174.36. Should just be happy with that. A couple points here, a couple points there aren't going to feel any better relative. I mean, maybe if I turn this into like a $2,000 day to feel good. But I think now seeing this turn into like a minus $400 day or a minus $300 day, I don't know if it's worth the cost. Not when I'm expecting markets to be maybe interesting today. Oh, Sonia, I'd like to know how that first loss started so big. 1160 to start's a little bit punchy, but to be up $500 is really, really good. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, and yeah, you missed that last trade yesterday too, right? Yeah, so I mean, exits wise, Patrick, we're looking at on average a 2 point difference per trade. Less than that actually, right? That'd be 2 points assuming one contract. So like a net difference here today of probably like 3 points. So I wouldn't necessarily beat yourself up about it too much. Like that difference is probably a little bit too much. I hope you didn't give them any of your carbon tax there. Yeah, Patrick, I would say based on position sizing here today, you're about a net 3 point difference. So yeah, it's literally just then 3 points, right, on your exits across 4 trades. Like, yes, you can beat yourself up over that, but that I don't think that's going to be the difference 90% of the time. So honestly, just kind of one of those days where there's fine margins, right? So it's kind of just it's just the way it goes. Like it, and maybe I should have been a little bit more transparent about this here today, or like more vocal about this. But yeah, on days where it's like it is choppy like today, and it is kind of sloppy price action, being selfish, right, is kind of how you finish green on the day in a circumstance like this, right? Getting one close at 607 instead of 604 all of a sudden is a game changer. But 3 points 95% of the time is not going to be the difference, or shouldn't be that sort of difference. It's just a little bit of shit luck. Like, even from my own personal perspective, I would consider today to be a quote unquote scratch day, right? Where I'm up, I mean, effectively commissions, or I'm down effectively commissions. I wouldn't worry about that too much. Like, if your red days are $156, you're going to make a lot of money trading. Love that, Tim. Love that. And you're probably also noticing, right? The more repetition, the more practice, the more time in market. So what you want to do with that ghost, right, is it's not modifying your so what I do, let me show you my process. I showed this yesterday, but I mean, worth sharing it again. So let's say that I'm looking at a breakout here to the upside, right? And we're just going to keep it simple. Again, guys, just a random trade. Please don't take this. This is just Fugazi random attempt, right? So let's go tighter stop loss so we can actually do something with position sizing. So I'm going to go stop loss here, 589. That's first thing, 589. Right, then I go reference price, set my reference price. So we'll say 598. So then I type in 598 here. Sell, right? And then I set my position sizing. Right, long. Set my position sizing, right? And okay, it looks like it has to be a 2 contract position. So I'm just looking now at 2 things. I'm watching this blue line. So, okay, I know that that price is 598.50. And I know at 598.50, my risk is $360. At this point, I just click 0. Change that back to my 2. And I'm waiting or watching this number to be $360 or less. What I want to then do once I see that number is to look to click it as it's on the downtick. So I want to be clicking submit as price is going down, not as price is going up. Because what that's going to ensure is that's going to then set a limit order with an upper price of, we'll say 598.50 or whatever. Can go from there. Yeah, you can do that, Sean, but I don't like to set the risk parameter because sometimes that will then change my stop loss price. So I've just seen that happen before for me in the past. So that's why I don't do it. So I do it this way. So now all I'd be watching here, again, 360, right? That's the number. I'm looking for 360 or less. And that's all I'm watching for. And then clicking on the downtick as it goes into that price. That makes sense? So I don't like, I want it to be effectively sending me a limit order because it ensures that I lock in that discount, right? If I'm going to set a market order in that situation, I could potentially have a very significantly different fill price. And that will change potentially my risk management, my position sizing, whatever it might be. That makes sense? Against watching 360, right? 360, 360. Well, it's not modifying an order until the order is submitted, right? So you haven't submitted the order. So now, okay, right? Less than 360, send order. Boom, I'm in, right? And I got a discount relative to 598, I hope. Yeah, 597. And that's pretty much all I do. So yeah, it might be they're viewing it kind of weirdly, but you're not sending an order. So I don't know how that would work or why they would view that as like an executable event. So it is weird. All right, guys. Any other questions here? Any other questions or anything you guys want to go over? Yeah, you too, Joseph. We'll see you soon, man. Um, like Joel, I would say that with any entry technique, right, there are going to be pros and cons to pretty much everything that you choose to do, right? There's no like one technique that I think is perfect or solves for every possible eventuality. So like everything, no matter what you try, has its own pros and cons. Um, So from that perspective, right, like that would be the way to approach it. The pros of that strategy, right, is it probably simplifies your execution process and it kind of makes that binary, right? Either it hits your price or it doesn't. That becomes very repeatable, right? I think that probably creates or clears up a lot of mental capital, which I don't think would be negative. The thing where you'd probably see the con is there would be probably trades that when they pull back faster than I expect, or they give me a reaction post entry or post confirmation that I don't like, you might end up getting fills on those trades where I basically don't click submit. So now those trades might still work out, they might fail. There's no real way to be able to like forward project what that actually would mean from a P&L perspective, but that would be potentially the con of that technique, as it removes basically your timing precision, right? Which, if that's your objective, to protect yourself from potentially spotty Wi-Fi, for sure, I think that that's a really good objective. But long term, you might be better off improving your Wi-Fi or like going hardwired and maintaining an element of control. What I would say, right, is test it, see if you like it, and test it with like micros or something that's low consequence, right? Um, yeah, because there isn't we all react a little bit differently to price action, and we all have like our own emotional baggage, right, that kind of influences some of those sensations or some of those feelings. So I would always recommend being selfish in that context and exploring what you think might make your life easier, right? I say this all the time. Everything that I do, the way that I execute trades, the way that I talk about my plays, the way that I set them up, it's all so that I make my life as easy as possible, right? That's really what my objective is. And what makes my life easy trading might be different for you. And I would like you to be very selfish in that pursuit, because that's the same thing I'm doing too. All right, guys. Any other questions here? Any other questions? I'll take a green day. It's funny, right? More wins here today, less P&L. So 174.36. So final call for questions here, team. Final call for questions. So not too shabby there. No complaints. And yeah, all things considered, not a terrible day. Not exactly an interesting day or like a fantastic day, but I shall take it. And yeah, it's gonna go enjoy the rest of my morning. So yeah, same deal like always, team. Right? If you have any questions, please hit me up. Outside of market hours if you need anything. Otherwise, have yourselves a great day. And we'll be back at it again here tomorrow for hopefully a more interesting session post Nvidia earnings. So have yourselves a great day, team. We'll talk soon, and I'll see you guys then.